The night shift at Riverside Medical Clinic was usually quiet, but this evening would change everything. Dr. Sarah Chen sat at her desk, checking patient files as the clock showed 11:30 p.m. The small-town clinic was empty except for her. Outside, crickets chirped in the warm summer air. Sarah looked up from her computer when the crickets suddenly went silent. A strange humming sound filled the air, getting louder with each passing second. The sound wasn't like anything she had heard before. Not a car, not a plane, not even a helicopter. "That's odd," she whispered to herself, standing up to look out the window. Without warning, bright blue lights flooded through every window of the clinic. The light was so strong that Sarah had to cover her eyes. Her heart started beating faster as the humming sound grew even louder. The papers on her desk started flying around, and the coffee in her cup created tiny waves. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the humming stopped. The blue lights dimmed but didn't go away completely. Sarah's hands were shaking, but she took a deep breath to stay calm. Years of emergency room work had taught her to keep her head clear in strange situations. The main door of the clinic opened with a soft hiss. Sarah froze as she heard footsteps. Heavy, metallic-sounding footsteps, coming down the hallway toward her office. The door handle turned slowly. Sarah's mouth fell open as three figures entered her office. They were tall, much taller than any human she had ever seen. Their skin looked like polished silver, and their eyes glowed with a soft blue light. They wore what looked like armor, but it seemed to move like water over their bodies. The tallest one, standing in the middle, stepped forward. This one had markings on its armor that made Sarah think it was their leader. When it spoke, its voice was deep but clear, like bells ringing underwater. "Human doctor," the tall being said, looking directly at Sarah. "I am Commander Zax 427 of the Galactic Research Fleet. We have studied your species from afar for many cycles, but now we need to understand you better." The commander's eyes scanned the medical certificates on her wall. "You are qualified in human medicine." Sarah nodded slowly, finding her voice. "Yes, I'm a medical doctor. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen." The commander moved closer, and Sarah noticed that several strange devices were floating in the air behind him. They looked like medical tools, but none that she had ever seen before. "Dr. Chen," the commander said, "I must inspect your body." Now, Sarah's mind raced. The situation felt unreal, like something from a movie. But her medical training kicked in again. If these beings wanted to learn about humans, maybe this was a chance to handle first contact peacefully. "You want to examine me?" Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "For what purpose?" The commander's eyes flickered. "Your species is unique in ways we don't understand. You look fragile, yet you survive conditions that would kill most life forms. You heal in ways we thought impossible. We need to know how." The two guards by the door shifted their positions, making Sarah very aware that she had no way to leave. The floating medical tools moved closer, making soft beeping sounds. "We can do this the easy way," the commander said, "or we can do this the hard way. But we will do this." Sarah looked at the strange tools floating in the air. She looked at the guards blocking the door. She thought about all the sci-fi movies where things went wrong during alien encounters. But she also thought about how this could be a historic moment, a chance to show these beings that humans could be brave and reasonable. Taking another deep breath, Sarah straightened her back and looked directly at the commander. "If you want to learn about humans," she said, "then let's do this properly. As a doctor, I can help you understand our biology. But you need to explain each test before you do it." The commander's head tilted slightly, showing what might have been surprise. The floating tools paused in their movement. "You are not afraid?" the commander asked. Sarah laughed nervously. "I'm terrified, but I'm also a doctor. And if you're really here to learn, then maybe we can help each other understand." The commander stepped forward, reaching out with a silver hand that glinted in the blue light. Behind him, one of the strange tools started to glow. The glowing medical tool in Commander Zax 427's hand looked like a mix between a flashlight and a magnifying glass. Sarah watched as soft blue light danced across her skin, making her veins glow like tiny rivers under her flesh. Fascinating, the commander muttered. Your blood carries iron. You are partially metal-based life forms. Sarah couldn't help but smile. Actually, that's a common misunderstanding. The iron in our blood helps carry oxygen, but we're not metal-based. Here, let me show you something interesting. Moving slowly so the guards wouldn't get nervous, Sarah walked to her desk and picked up her stethoscope. The aliens tensed, their silver skin rippling like mercury. This is just a simple tool, she explained. Would you like to hear something amazing about humans? The commander nodded, clearly curious. Sarah placed the stethoscope against her chest. Listen, she said, offering the earpieces to the commander. That's my heart. The commander's glowing eyes widened as they heard the steady thump-thump of Sarah's heartbeat. It's mechanical. You have a machine inside you. No, it's completely organic, Sarah explained. Our hearts beat about 100,000 times every day, pumping blood through around 60,000 miles of blood vessels. That's enough to go around your planet more than twice. The floating medical tools started beeping excitedly, taking readings. The commander stepped back, looking at Sarah with new interest. And you say all humans have this system? They asked. How does it not fail? Oh, it can fail, Sarah said. But here's something even more amazing. Our bodies can heal themselves. Watch this. Sarah picked up a clean needle from her desk. The guards raised their weapons, but the commander waved them down. Carefully, Sarah pricked her finger, showing the tiny drop of blood. Keep watching, she said. The aliens crowded closer, their glowing eyes fixed on the small wound. Within minutes, the bleeding stopped as the clotting process began. Impossible, one of the guards whispered, speaking for the first time. They self-repair. The commander's medical tools danced around Sarah's hand, recording everything. Our species takes weeks to heal from even the smallest injury, they explained. This is unprecedented. But Sarah wasn't finished. Want to see something even more interesting? Look at this. She walked to the clinic's X-ray viewing box and turned it on, showing some recent bone scans. Human bones are constantly rebuilding themselves. They get stronger in response to stress. The more we use them, the tougher they become, and they can repair themselves even after breaking. The commander touched the X-ray with a silver finger. Your species, you're not fragile at all, are you? You're self-repairing, self-improving combat units. Sarah shook her head quickly. No, we're not combat units. We're just adaptable. Look at my hands. She spread her fingers, showing the complex movements humans could make. The aliens watched in amazement as she tied a quick surgical knot with one hand, then typed rapidly on her computer keyboard. Your digits, they move independently, the commander asked, their own three-fingered hand flexing in comparison. We call them fingers, Sarah explained. And yes, each one can move on its own. It lets us do detailed work, like surgery or building tiny machines. Suddenly, one of the floating medical tools started flashing red. The commander grabbed it, studying the readings with what looked like disbelief. This can't be correct, they said. According to these scans, your brain is constantly changing. Sarah nodded. Neural plasticity. Our brains form new connections every time we learn something new. We can adapt to almost any situation, learn new skills, even recover from brain injury sometimes. The commander's silver skin rippled with colors, the first strong emotion they had shown. They turned to their guards and spoke in a sharp, clicking language Sarah couldn't understand. The guards shifted nervously. Dr. Chen, the commander said slowly, we came here thinking we would study a primitive species. Instead, they paused, their glowing eyes dimming slightly. Instead, we find ourselves facing something we don't understand at all. Sarah was about to respond when a new sound filled the room, a deep, pulsing alarm from the alien ship outside. The commander's head snapped up, their skin turning a dark, stormy gray. "No," they whispered. "They followed us here." The guards rushed to the window, their weapons raised. In the night sky above the clinic, new lights were appearing. Red ones, moving fast and getting closer. The red lights in the sky grew brighter as Sarah and the aliens watched through the clinic windows. Commander Zach's 427 silver skin had turned a dark, stormy gray. What Sarah now realized was their version of fear. "The Drachnid hunters," the commander said quietly. "They track any ship doing biological research. They collect specimens." Before Sarah could ask what that meant, her office lights flickered and went out. Only the blue glow from the aliens' eyes and their floating medical tools lit the room now. "They're using energy dampeners," one of the guards said. "Standard hunting procedure." Sarah's medical training kicked in again. When facing an emergency, stay calm and use what you have. "Quick, follow me to the basement," she said. "This clinic has a backup generator." The aliens followed her down the dark stairs, their metallic footsteps echoing. In the basement, Sarah found the generator and switched it on. As lights hummed back to life, she noticed the commander staring at her with curious eyes. "You are not panicking," they observed. "Why?" Sarah checked the generator's fuel gauge. "Humans deal with emergencies all the time. We adapt. It's what we do best. Now, tell me about these hunters." The commander's floating medical tools clustered nervously around them. "The Drachnids are cybernetically enhanced warriors. They believe that collecting and studying other species will help them become the strongest in the galaxy. Their exoskeletons make them 3 times stronger than their natural form." Sarah couldn't help but laugh. The aliens looked at her in surprise. "What amuses you about deadly hunters?" the commander asked. "You said they use machines to become 3 times stronger. Watch this." Sarah walked to a corner of the basement where the clinic kept its medical supplies. She lifted a box marked 50 kg with ease. "Humans, we can train our bodies to become stronger naturally. No machines needed." The commander's medical tools swarmed around her muscles, taking readings. "Impossible. Your muscle fibers, they're denser than our scans initially showed." "How?" "Exercise," Sarah explained, putting down the box. "The more we use our muscles, the stronger they get. Some humans can lift hundreds of kilograms. And that's not even the most impressive thing." She grabbed her tablet computer and quickly pulled up a video of a marathon runner. The aliens crowded around to watch. "This person is running for 26.2 miles, or about 42 kilometers, she explained. "Many humans can do this. We can outlast almost any other animal on our planet through something called persistence hunting." The commander's skin rippled with colors again. "You pursue prey until it becomes exhausted." "We used to," Sarah said. "Our bodies can cool themselves through sweating, so we can keep moving long after other creatures need to rest. We're built for endurance." Suddenly, a loud crash came from upstairs. The aliens raised their weapons, but Sarah held up her hand. "Wait," she whispered. "I have an idea." She pointed to their floating medical tools. "You've been scanning me this whole time. What's the average body temperature of your species?" 42 of your Celsius degrees, the commander replied. "Why?" Sarah smiled. "And these hunters, they use thermal scanning to find their targets, right?" The commander's eyes brightened with understanding. "Yes, they track heat signatures." "Perfect," Sarah said, moving to the clinic's walk-in freezer. "Human body temperature is only 37 Celsius. If we hide in here, and I show you a few tricks about controlling our breathing, we might just..." Another crash interrupted her, closer this time. Heavy footsteps moved above them. "Commander," Sarah whispered, "you came here to study humans. Want to see what we're really capable of when we're cornered." The commander looked at their guards, then back at Sarah. Their skin shifted to a new color she hadn't seen before, something like silver mixed with gold. "Dr. Chen," they said softly. I begin to think we chose our research subject very wisely indeed. Sarah opened the freezer door. Let me show you something else amazing about humans, she said, stepping inside. We're really good at making plans under pressure. As the heavy footsteps reached the basement stairs, Sarah began explaining her idea. The commander's eyes grew wider with each word. Even the nervous floating medical tools seemed to lean in closer to listen. Above them, something big and mechanical started moving down the stairs, its metal feet clanking on each step. But for the first time since the hunters arrived, the commander's skin wasn't showing fear colors anymore. Instead, they were glowing with something new, hope, because they had just learned another unique thing about humans. When things look impossible, that's when they become most creative. Inside the walk-in freezer, Sarah and the aliens huddled in the dark. The only light came from their glowing eyes and the dimmed medical tools, now set to minimal power. Above them, heavy mechanical footsteps echoed through the clinic. Your temperature is dropping, Commander Zax 427 whispered, checking one of the floating tools. Are you dying? Sarah shook her head, her breath visible in the cold air. No. Watch this. She started doing jumping jacks quietly in place. Within seconds, the medical tools showed her body temperature rising again. Incredible, the commander murmured. You can control your body heat through movement. Humans are endotherms, warm-blooded, Sarah explained between quiet jumps. We can generate our own heat, but here's the really interesting part about human survival. She stopped jumping and placed the commander's hand on her chest. Their silver fingers felt ice-cold against her skin. Feel that? My heart rate increased with exercise, pumping more warm blood through my body. But now, Sarah closed her eyes and took long, deep breaths. The commander's eyes widened as they felt her heartbeat slow down. You can control your internal organs, they asked in amazement. Not directly, Sarah whispered, but we can influence them. Through breathing, meditation, and practice, we can slow our heart rate, reduce our oxygen needs, even change our blood flow patterns. Some trained humans can stay underwater for more than 5 minutes. The heavy footsteps above suddenly stopped. Everyone froze. A deep, mechanical scanning sound penetrated the ceiling. The Drachnids are using bioscanners, one of the guards whispered. They'll find us. But Sarah smiled. No, they won't. Commander, what temperature do their scanners usually look for? Standard life-form temperatures, 37 to 45 Celsius. Perfect. Everyone, get closer. Sarah pulled the aliens into a tight group. The freezer's at -10 Celsius. Our combined body heat creates a confusing thermal image, and human body temperature naturally drops in cold environments. It's called thermoregulation. As if to prove her point, one of the floating medical tools displayed their group's heat signature. Instead of distinct bodies, it showed a blurry, indistinct mass of varying temperatures. The scanning sound moved away. The commander's skin shifted to a lighter shade. Dr. Chen, they said quietly, there's something else we've noticed. During all this danger, your body is producing chemicals we don't understand. They're similar to fear responses, but adrenaline, Sarah explained. It's a hormone that helps humans handle dangerous situations. It makes us stronger, faster, and more alert. But humans produce lots of interesting chemicals. Here's another one. She reached out and squeezed the commander's hand reassuringly. Their medical tools immediately started beeping softly. What is happening? The commander asked, staring at the readings. Your brain is releasing new compounds. Oxytocin, probably. The bonding hormone. Humans produce it when we trust someone or try to comfort them. We're not just survival machines, Commander. We're social creatures. Our emotions are part of our strength. The commander's skin rippled with colors Sarah hadn't seen before. Emotions is strength. Our scientists always considered emotions a weakness. But they're not, Sarah whispered. Our emotions drive us to help each other, to solve problems, to survive impossible situations. When humans care about each other, We can accomplish amazing things. Suddenly, a new sound filled the clinic, splitting metal and breaking glass. The Drachnid hunters were tearing the building apart. They'll reach the basement soon, the second guard warned. Sarah stood up, rubbing her arms for warmth. Commander, you came to study human biology, but you're learning about something much more important. Want to know the real secret of human strength? The commander nodded, their medical tools hovering expectantly. We're at our strongest when we work together. Sarah pulled out her phone, which still worked in the cold. While we've been hiding, I sent a text message. Listen. In the distance, sirens started wailing. Lots of them. What did you do? The commander asked. I texted the local emergency services about a break-in at the clinic. In about 2 minutes, dozens of humans will arrive. Police, firefighters, paramedics, all working together, all ready to help strangers in trouble. The commander's skin shifted to that gold-silver color again. Your species protects even those they don't know. Sarah nodded. It's what humans do. We help each other. And right now, she smiled as the sirens got closer. Right now, those hunters up there are about to learn something very important about humans. What's that? The commander asked. We don't like bullies, Sarah said, as red and blue lights started flashing through the clinic's windows. And we're really good at working together to solve problems. The mechanical footsteps above turned chaotic. The Drachnid hunters hadn't expected this. They had come prepared for a simple specimen collection. Instead, they were about to meet an organized human emergency response team. But as Sarah listened to the chaos above, she realized something else was happening too. The commander's medical tools were recording everything, but they weren't just taking biological readings anymore. They were learning about something much more powerful than physical strength or endurance. They were learning about the human heart, not just the organ that pumped blood, but the spirit that made humans risk their lives for others, work together against impossible odds, and face danger to protect even strange alien visitors. And as police cars screeched to a stop outside, Sarah knew this night would change more than just alien research data. It would change how two species saw each other forever. The chaos upstairs suddenly stopped. In the freezer's dim light, Sarah and the aliens heard heavy mechanical footsteps retreating, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Through the small freezer window, they saw several dark shapes launching into the night sky. They're running away, the guard asked in disbelief. No, Commander Zax 427 said grimly, checking a small device on their wrist. They're calling for backup. An entire hunter fleet just entered your solar system. Sarah's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, showing dozens of missed calls and messages. Well, we've got backup too. The military is on their way. Apparently, someone recorded your ship landing and posted it online. The whole world knows about you now. The commander's skin turned that stormy gray color again. This is my fault. My research mission has brought war to your planet. But Sarah was smiling as she read more messages. Commander, I don't think you understand what's happening. Look at this. She held up her phone, showing social media feeds. Videos were pouring in from around the world, not of panic, but of people organizing. Hospitals were preparing beds. Scientists were sharing research. Military forces from different countries were coordinating. I don't understand, the commander said. Why aren't your people fighting each other for resources, running away? That's what most species do when faced with invasion. Because that's not how humans work, Sarah explained, still reading updates. When there's a big enough threat, we do something amazing. We stop fighting each other and work together. Look. She showed them more feeds. Countries that were usually enemies were sharing military resources. Scientists who normally competed were pooling their research. Regular people were offering their homes to strangers who might need shelter. But why? The second guard asked. Sarah thought for a moment. Let me show you something else about humans. Commander, can your medical tools scan brain activity? The commander nodded, and their floating tools moved around Sarah's head. "Okay, I want you to watch what happens in my brain as I tell you about human history," Sarah said. "We've faced extinction-level events before. Ice ages, plagues, natural disasters. Each time, we survived not just because we're strong or smart, but because we did this. We came together." The medical tools started beeping excitedly. The commander stared at the readings. "Your brain. It's lighting up in patterns we've never seen. Multiple areas activating at once, creating new connections as you speak. That's another human superpower," Sarah explained. "We learn from history. We pass down knowledge. We plan for the future. And right now, millions of humans are doing exactly what I'm doing. Thinking, planning, connecting ideas." Suddenly, Sarah's phone rang. It was a video call from a government official. She answered, putting it on speaker. "Dr. Chen," the official said, "we've detected more alien ships entering our solar system. But we've also analyzed the footage from the clinic's security cameras. We saw how you handled first contact. We need you here at the command center." The commander's skin shifted through several colors. "You're sharing information about us." "Of course," Sarah said. "That's another human trait you should know about. We're incredibly curious. Right now, thousands of scientists are studying the footage of your arrival. Engineers are analyzing your technology. Linguists are working on your language." She turned back to the phone. "I'll come to the command center, but I'm bringing guests. The commander here knows something about these hunters that we need to understand." The official paused. "You trust them?" Sarah looked at the commander, whose medical tools were still recording everything. "Yes, because they came here to learn. And now they're learning the most important thing about humans. We're stronger together than apart." The commander stepped forward. "Your people would accept our help after we brought this danger to you." "Commander," Sarah said gently, "look at your medical readings again. What have you really learned about humans tonight?" The alien leader was quiet for a moment, reviewing the data their tools had collected. Finally, they spoke. "We learned that humans are not just biological entities. You are something more. Your strength isn't just in your muscles or bones. It's in how you think, how you feel, how you work together. You turn fear into action, strangers into allies, and impossible situations into opportunities." Sarah nodded. "And that's why the hunters won't win. They think strength comes from cybernetic enhancements and advanced weapons. But they're about to learn what real strength is." Her phone buzzed again. A message showed that cars were waiting outside to take them to the command center. But as they prepared to leave the freezer, the commander raised their hand. "Dr. Chen, there's something else. Something we discovered in our scans but didn't understand until now." Their medical tools displayed a complex series of readings. "Your species, you're still evolving, still changing. Every challenge you face makes you stronger, smarter, more adaptable." Sarah reached for the freezer door. "Then let's go face this challenge together. Because here's one last thing about humans you should know." "What's that?" the commander asked. "We don't just adapt to survive," Sarah said, opening the door. "We adapt to thrive. And we're really, really good at helping others do the same." As they stepped out of the freezer into a world forever changed by this night, Sarah knew that humanity wasn't just facing a threat. They were facing an opportunity to show the galaxy exactly what humans could do when they worked together. And somewhere up in space, a hunter fleet was about to learn a very important lesson about underestimating the power of human cooperation. The military command center was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen, not because of advanced technology, but because of the organized chaos of humans working together. Sarah, Commander Zax 427, and their guards watched in amazement as hundreds of people coordinated across a massive room filled with screens and communication equipment. "This is impossible," one of the guards whispered. "Your technology is primitive compared to ours, but you're tracking our ships better than we can." A young analyst nearby overheard and smiled. "That's because we're not just using technology," She pointed to different sections of the room. Those people are weather scientists. They noticed how alien ships affect cloud patterns. Those are marine biologists. They discovered your engines disturb whale migration. We're using everything we know about our planet to track you. The commander's medical tools spun excitedly, recording this new form of problem-solving. Suddenly, all screens flashed red. A voice boomed through speakers. Multiple objects entering atmosphere. Energy signatures matched Drachnid vessels. The room burst into action. Sarah watched as military personnel, scientists, and civilians moved with practiced efficiency. No panic, no chaos, just purpose. "Commander," Sarah said, "remember how I said humans are good at working together? Watch this." On the main screen, dots representing Drachnid ships appeared over major cities. But instead of terror, the room filled with determined activity. "Sir," a young officer called out, "civilian astronomical societies are providing real-time tracking data. They've been watching the skies for years. They know every normal object up there. Environmental sensors worldwide are detecting atmospheric disturbances." Another analyst shouted, "We can predict their flight paths." The commander's skin rippled with amazement. "You're using hobby scientists to track advanced alien ships. That's humans for you," Sarah said proudly. "We turned stargazers into early warning systems. But watch, it gets better." The main screen showed something new, civilian boats moving into precise patterns in every ocean. "What are they doing?" the guard asked. An admiral stepped forward. "Those are fishing boats. They're creating sonar nets, using their depth-finding equipment to track underwater movement. The Drachnids might have cloaking technology, but they can't hide their effect on water." The commander's medical tools were practically dancing with excitement. "Your people, they're turning simple tools into advanced detection systems." "Exactly," Sarah said. "Humans are tool users. We don't just use technology. We adapt it. Improvise with it." And speaking of improvising, she pointed to another screen showing trucks moving on highways. "Those aren't military vehicles. They're ice cream trucks." "Ice cream?" the commander asked, confused. "Frozen treats," Sarah explained. "But more importantly, their refrigeration units can detect thermal changes in the air. We're using them to track your ship's heat signatures. Every ice cream truck in the country just became a sensor station." The commander's skin shifted to that gold-silver color again. "You're not fighting the way the Drachnids expected." "Because we're not fighting at all," Sarah replied. "We're solving a problem. Humans are really good at that. Look there." A new screen showed hospitals worldwide preparing beds, not just for potential casualties, but with special equipment. "Your medical scans showed that Drachnid hunters are sensitive to certain frequencies," Sarah explained. "Our hospitals are setting up sonic deterrent networks disguised as medical equipment. If they try to enter any populated area, they'll walk into a trap," the commander finished, understanding dawning in their glowing eyes. But then everything changed. The Drachnid ships stopped. A message came through on all frequencies, in all languages. "Primitive species," a harsh mechanical voice announced. "You harbor valuable research specimens. Surrender them, or we will demonstrate true power." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Commander Zax 427 and their guards. The commander stepped forward, their skin shifting through colors rapidly. "I must surrender myself. I cannot allow your world to suffer for my actions." But Sarah grabbed their arm. "Commander, look at your medical readings one more time. What do they show about humans under pressure?" The alien leader checked their floating tools, studying the data they'd collected since arriving on Earth. Their eyes widened. "Your stress responses, they're not just about survival. Under threat, your minds become more active, more creative. You're not just adapting, you're innovating." "Exactly," Sarah said. She turned to the room. "Everyone, the commander's medical tools have been scanning humans all night. They've learned more about our biology than we know ourselves. And those hunters up there, They're using biological weaknesses to track and capture species. The room erupted with new energy as people understood. Scientists rushed to the commander, asking questions about the medical readings. Military strategists began forming new plans based on biological data. "I don't understand," the guard said. "What's happening?" Sarah smiled. "We're about to show the Drachnids another human trait. We're really good at turning an enemy's strength into a weakness." The commander's skin glowed brighter than ever as they watched humans transform scientific curiosity into a battle plan. Up in space, the Drachnid hunters waited for a response, confident in their superior technology and enhanced strength. They had no idea they were about to face something far more powerful than advanced weapons. Human creativity combined with the determination to protect not just themselves, but their new alien friends as well. The clock was ticking. The hunters were waiting, but in that command center, surrounded by humans working together, Commander Zax 427 realized they had made the right choice in coming to Earth. Because sometimes the best way to study a species is to see them face an impossible challenge. And humans? They were about to show the galaxy exactly why they should never be underestimated. The command center's main screen showed thousands of Drachnid ships hovering above Earth's major cities. Their ultimatum still hung in the air: surrender the research team, or face destruction. But the humans weren't panicking. Instead, they were smiling. "Ready?" Sarah asked Commander Zax 427, whose floating medical tools were making final adjustments. "Your plan is insane," the commander said, their skin shifting between colors, "using our medical scanners to turn the entire planet into one giant biological transmitter." "That's humans for you," Sarah grinned. "We don't just think outside the box. We rebuild the box into something else entirely." Around the world, an extraordinary network had been created in just hours. The commander's medical tools had been studied, copied, and modified by human scientists. Now, similar devices sat in every hospital, every radio station, and every cell phone tower on Earth. "Signal ready," an engineer announced. "Every broadcasting system on Earth has been synchronized. We're channeling the frequency through the planet's magnetic field." The commander's medical readings had revealed something crucial about the Drachnid hunters. Their cybernetic enhancements were based on biological interfaces. They hadn't just built mechanical additions. They had modified their own biology to become living weapons. "Begin transmission," the general ordered. Sarah watched as the modified medical scanners activated worldwide. They weren't trying to hurt the Drachnids. Instead, they were doing something far more human. They were attempting communication on a biological level. The effect was immediate. The Drachnid ships stopped their threatening movements. On screen, their formations wavered. "They're receiving the signal," the commander said, watching their tools' readings. "Their biological components are responding to emotions." "Not just any emotions," Sarah explained. "We're transmitting the biological signatures of human cooperation, trust, and community. The very things your medical tools recorded when we worked together. Their enhanced biology can't ignore it. It's like a language their bodies have to listen to." The Drachnid ships began descending, but not in attack formation. They were landing in open areas, away from populations. When their hatches opened, the hunters emerged looking confused, their cybernetic parts moving erratically. "What's happening to them?" the guard asked. "Their biological enhancement system is doing exactly what it was designed to do," Sarah said. "It's helping them adapt to become stronger, but we showed them a different kind of strength, one they never considered." On screens worldwide, something unprecedented was happening. The Drachnid hunters, famous for their ruthless collection of specimens, were experiencing the biological signals of community, cooperation, and mutual support for the first time. Their enhanced systems, designed to make them perfect hunters, were instead making them perfect receivers for these new experiences. Commander Zax 427's skin glowed with understanding. "You didn't just defend against them. You're changing them." That's another human trait. Sarah smiled. We don't just survive threats. We try to transform them into opportunities. Around the world, scenes of first contact were playing out unlike anything in science fiction. Arachnid hunters, their biological enhancements now attuned to cooperation instead of conflict, were experiencing something entirely new: the desire to connect rather than collect. The commander's medical tools recorded everything, documenting this unprecedented transformation. Your species, they said in awe, you didn't just defeat an advanced enemy. You gave them a new way to evolve. Sarah watched as human medical teams approached the landed ships, offering help to the confused hunters. That's because humans understand something important about strength. Real power isn't about domination. It's about connection. The command center erupted in cheers as reports came in from around the world. The Drachnid fleet wasn't just standing down. They were requesting dialogue. Their biological enhancements, exposed to human emotional signals, had literally rewired their approach to other species. Dr. Chen, the commander said, their skin now glowing with that beautiful gold-silver color, we came to study human biology. Instead, you taught us, and them, about biology's true potential. Not as a weapon, but as a bridge. Sarah looked at the screen showing humans and aliens beginning to interact peacefully worldwide. You know what the really amazing thing is, Commander? This is just the beginning. Humans never stop learning, never stop adapting, never stop trying to understand others. And now, she gestured to the scenes of cooperation unfolding globally. Now we have new friends to learn from and grow with. The Drachnid's biological enhancements mean they'll never forget this lesson in cooperation. Your medical research team has data that will revolutionize how species understand each other. And humans? What about humans? The commander asked. Sarah smiled as she watched former enemies becoming allies, scientists sharing discoveries, and people worldwide celebrating not victory, but connection. We just proved that our greatest strength isn't in our muscles, our endurance, or even our adaptability. It's in our ability to turn enemies into friends, to find solutions instead of fighting, and to help others grow along with us. The commander's medical tools made one final recording, not of human biology, but of human potential. In that moment, they realized their research mission had discovered something far more valuable than biological data. They had discovered hope. As the sun rose on a new day, 3 species that had started as strangers, humans, researchers, and hunters, began the extraordinary process of learning from each other. The Drachnid's biological enhancements, once used for hunting, would now help them understand and connect with other species. The commander's research would help the galaxy understand not just human biology, but human nature and humanity. They had just shown the galaxy something remarkable. That true strength lies not in domination, but in the power to transform conflict into cooperation, enemies into allies, and differences into opportunities for growth. It was more than first contact. It was first connection. And it was just the beginning.